Open any news app today, and you will be hit with the same underlying panic. The world is spiraling toward a third world war. Even heavyweights in global finance, like billionaire investor Ray Dalio, are sounding the alarm, warning that major geopolitical clashes are practically inevitable. But according to Hopin, host of the Point Today program, this widespread panic completely misreads how global power actually functions today. He calls this misdiagnosis the 1980 syndrome. The people making these dire predictions are looking at modern conflicts through an outdated lens, a time when ideological blocs and oil pipelines were the only things driving global politics. You can see this anachronism in the G7. This group was formed to tackle the 1970s oil shocks. Today, seeing these leaders gather is like watching a group of old men trying to treat a 21st century disease with a 20th century prescription. While analysts obsess over conventional battle lines and troop movements, a massive structural shift has already rewritten the rules of international dominance. Waiting for a repeat of the world wars is a dangerous distraction. The mechanics of power have evolved, making traditional physical warfare an increasingly inefficient path to dominance. The original era of globalization was driven by a highly efficient, militarized business model, state-sponsored piracy, and colonial extraction. That logic of extraction worked for empires of the past, but apply that math to today's conflicts and the return on investment has completely collapsed. Look at the rubble in Ukraine or the ongoing destruction in the Middle East. You cannot build a functioning economy out of ashes, and the territory gained produces almost zero usable output. As Hopin points out, the core calculation has flipped. The immense financial cost of deploying modern weaponry far outweighs any physical wealth a winner might extract from a decimated landscape. Human nature hasn't suddenly become more moral. Instead, the math has changed. The profits generated by borderless markets, technology, and information networks are vastly superior to the meager returns of military conquest. Because global cooperation and trade yield dividends that dwarf the spoils of physical territory, traditional warfare has become a definitively bankrupt enterprise. 50 years ago, the global economy was incredibly fragile. A conflict in the Middle East meant gas rationing and immediate economic paralysis for the West. So, with current instability in oil-producing regions, why haven't we seen a repeat of those crippling global supply shocks? Over the last decade, a massive industrial defense mechanism has emerged, particularly in the East, highly scaled, organically grown renewable energy infrastructure. The rapid rollout of electric vehicles and battery storage serves a much more aggressive purpose than meeting emission targets. These physical technologies actively dismantle the leverage once held by traditional energy monopolies. This chart tracks global energy demand, showing traditional oil usage over time. Watch what happens as the near-zero marginal cost of solar power scales up and electric vehicle adoption accelerates. That bright line representing new energy capacity forces the trajectory of global oil reliance to curve downward. The exact moment these metrics intersect, the old energy cartels lose their power to hold the global economy hostage. When you remove the need to secure foreign oil fields, you eliminate the geopolitical foundation that made decades of petro-wars necessary in the first place. Great power competition hasn't disappeared. The rivals are the same, but the terrain has moved from physical space into the economic and digital realms. Instead of measuring power by artillery stockpiles, nations now fight for dominance over semiconductor manufacturing and advanced processing chips. The geopolitical leverage that once required a fleet of naval destroyers is now exercised through the strict control of global supply chains and maritime logistics. While traditional skirmishes continue to erupt in modern war zones, the decisive victories, the ones that actually shift the global balance of power, are now won in the competition for market share and consumer technology. Hopin's view is that we are leaving the pirate era behind, shifting from a species that survives through plunder to one that prospers through industrial invention and technical efficiency. So let go of the anxiety over a looming global war. The true battle is already happening right inside the device in your hand. It's time to adjust your map of the world to match